So for this section, let's start with the most important question. What exactly is such a backend and why would we need one? Well, at this point in the course, we of course built many Flutter apps, but there's one thing all these Flutter apps had in common. They of course run on the user's device, their mobile phone. Therefore, any data that's generated by that app, like for example that list of grocery items, any such data is stored locally on that device. And therefore, if that device would be lost or replaced or erased, all the data stored on it would be lost and erased as well. Now, for such a shopping list, that might not really be a problem, but of course, for other kinds of apps, that might be a huge problem. Another potential problem is that some apps actually need to share data with other users. I mean, the Uber app wouldn't be that helpful if only you could use it. Of course, your app must communicate with potential drivers, and those drivers in the end communicate back to you. And the same is true for many other apps. The Amazon app, of course, would not work if it could only work with data that's stored locally on your device. Instead, the Amazon app needs to be able to reach out to Amazon's servers to load the data from there. And that's the entire idea behind adding such a backend server. The idea is that your app does not need to run and work alone, but instead in conjunction with some services and data provided and stored on such backend servers. So these servers are really just computers, machines running somewhere in the internet. And of course, the exact configuration and which features a certain backend offers depends on the backend. Maybe you built it yourselves, maybe you wrote your own backend logic, maybe you're using some third-party solution, so that depends. But in the end, they will very likely also store data in some database, besides doing other work, which is also possible. And since they do run in some data centers somewhere in the internet, of course, app users from the entire world can interact with the same data since it's stored in one central place instead of on the mobile phones of your users. Of course, your Flutter app must be able to communicate with those backend servers to use their services and data, and that communication typically happens via HTTP requests. And that is exactly what we're going to take a closer look at in this course section. We're not going to build a custom backend because this course is not about backend development or using other programming languages. Instead, we'll use a very simple dummy third-party service as a backend, but you will learn how you can then send requests to that service to store data there or retrieve data from there. And that, of course, will then also allow you to use that knowledge that you do gain in this section to adapt it for other use cases where you might be using other backends.